Let me show you how to make some incredible crispy beef tacos. These came out ridiculously good. Hot oiled pan is gonna get an entire cry maker. Then just salt and just sweat it down. Time to throw in our ground beef. Give it a good ground and pound and let it brown. And me personally, I like to brown the meat before I add any seasoning or salt. Make your own taco seasoning, it's worth it. 1 part onion, garlic, cayenne pepper, oregano. 2 parts paprika, chipotle, chili powder, and sazon. It's time to add the spices in. Throw in some fresh minced heartburn. And then what I like to do is hit this with a little starch. And then just a bunch of water for the perfect taco meat. That's just gonna deglaze the pan and give body to all those spices. Now to make an incredible sauce, you're gonna take some Mexican crema and mix it with some sour cream, and then you're gonna mix in your favorite taco sauce, and then just mix in the same seasonings that we used in earlier. Now in a healthy amount of oil, you're gonna drop in a tortilla. Once it starts to talk back to you, give it a nice little flip. Quickly load this up with some cheese. 1/2 gets your ground meat, and then you just want to fold and toast. Stuff these with some onions and cilantro. You want to generously dip them in the sauce, and as always, now bismillah. That is insanely good. Oh my god.
If there's one marinade that should get an award for how simple yet delicious it tastes, it should go to Juche Kebab. Combine ground up saffron, sugar, and hot water to make the saffron water, then slice up the chicken thighs into strips like this. Marinate the chicken in a little bit of saffron water for about 15 minutes, then go in with lemon juice, yogurt, olive oil, black pepper, salt, turmeric, sliced onions, minced garlic, and a little bit of saffron powder. Pop this in the fridge for at least 3 to 4 hours so the chicken has time to absorb the color and flavor. Cook these on the grill for that added smokiness, and don't forget to brush with a saffron lemon butter sauce. I made a super simple sumac aioli to go with this, along with some crispy tahdig and a Shirazi style salad. I feel like this is only complete with some grilled veggies on the side. Top it off with some more sumac, a little more of that saffron lemon butter, and it's ready to enjoy. Jerk chicken is so flavorful, so it only makes sense to infuse those same flavors into a creamy sauce and make jerk chicken pasta. Start by pounding out some Scotch bonnet pepper and add that to cubed up chicken breast along with minced green onion, white vinegar, soy sauce, a couple spices, and some fresh thyme. Let this marinate for as long as you like, and then fry up the chicken in a hot pan until it's golden and almost all the way cooked through. In the same pan, fry up some bell peppers until they're slightly charred. For the sauce, saute green onions, Scotch bonnet pepper, and minced garlic, then sprinkle in a little bit of flour, cook that for about a minute, then pour in your heavy cream. Season it up with the same spices you used for the chicken, and then toss in a small bunch of fresh thyme. Let this simmer for a couple minutes until thickened, then add the cooked chicken along with the sauteed peppers back into the sauce and finish it off with pecorino romano and fresh mozzarella. Toss some cooked pasta in the sauce, garnish with black pepper, green onions, and it's ready to enjoy. I finally discovered that it's possible to make manaish at home that's nearly identical to the ones that you get at a bakery, so here's how you do it. For the dough, combine warm water, warm milk, yeast, sugar, olive oil, salt, and some flour. Knead this for a couple minutes, then shape it into a thick log and divide it into 6 or 7 pieces for small manaish. Shape all the pieces into round balls, then let these rest covered for 20 to 30 minutes until they're doubled in size. Then roll out each dough ball into a nice circle shape that isn't too thick or too thin. For the best flavor, you want to use 3 types of cheese: akawi, mozzarella, and buffalo mozzarella. Buffalo mozzarella leans more on the wet side, and it's going to make this taste incredible. Another topping I like to add is suja, which is basically a meat sausage. To cook the manaish, add some ghee to a hot pan, then add the rolled out dough on top along with your cheese and any toppings, and transfer this directly under the broiler for about a minute until it's beautifully golden. Top it off with sesame seeds, and it's ready to enjoy. At least once in a lifetime, everyone should experience a shawarma made entirely from scratch, so here's how you do it. You want to use a mixture of boneless, skinless chicken thighs and chicken breast for this. For the marinade, combine olive oil, lemon juice, yogurt, minced garlic, the shawarma spices, and the chicken. Massage that in really well, and ideally you want to let this marinate for several hours. To cook the chicken, you can line it on a vertical spit, or you can just put it on some bamboo skewers and bake that in the oven until it reaches an internal temperature of 165. Then you can slice up the chicken into strips like this. To use this in a shawarma wrap, I whipped up my soft and chewy naan recipe, but this time I stretched the dough out thinner and shaped it into a circle, then I cooked it on an upside down heated pan. I also made some fresh homemade garlic sauce, aka toom, to go with this because no shawarma is complete without it. Don't forget the pickles, pomegranate molasses, and a cabbage slaw to keep things fresh. Now to make these extra special, you're going to brush them with the leftover chicken juices, sprinkle with some sumac, and then toast them in a hot pan until they're nice and crispy. Serve it up with some fries, more garlic sauce on the side, and it's ready to enjoy.
Healthy eating doesn't need to be boring, and this sriracha honey salmon bowl is episode 1 of my bowl series. It's bringing 40 grams of protein, big flavors, and minimal effort. Start by cutting your boneless salmon fillets into cubes. Mix and combine together some sriracha sauce, honey, soy sauce, and fresh garlic. Season your salmon with some salt, black pepper, and garlic powder. Add half of the sriracha honey sauce you made to your salmon and let this marinate. Cook your salmon on a pan with some sesame oil, and you're going to add the rest of the sauce in. Bait it up with all that good stuff and enjoy. I got to thinking and I'm convinced Asian food serves the ultimate comfort food. This is a foolproof recipe on making the butter chicken of your dream. Marinate your chicken with some spices and you're going to cook that off on a hot pan. Add in a bay leaf and cinnamon stick on the same pan and add in 1 cubed onion. Add some ginger and garlic and you're just going to brown your onions. Add the same spices you used to marinate your chicken and you're going to cook that off. Add in chopped tomatoes and double cream. Blend your sauce until it's smooth like this. Add a block of butter and a little bit of sugar I like to add. To make this extra special, we're going to make some homemade garlic naan to pair with this. Add some flour, yeast and garlic powder to a bowl. Add 1 cup of water and knead it and leave it to rise. I made my garlic paste using some ghee, butter, garlic cloves and some coriander. Roll your naan out, cook it and spread the garlic paste on top. I got to thinking and this has to be the ultimate comfort food. This is a foolproof recipe on how to make the mac and cheese of your dreams with some hot honey tenders. First and foremost, boil your pasta. I started by doing the most dreadful job and that's grating all of the cheese. To a pan, add some butter and some flour. Really stir and get along with that flour. You don't want to have any clumps to this. Add in your spices and some heavy cream little by little. I also added in my milk and my cheese. You should have a really thick cheesy base and you can add in your pasta. Top that all on the oven tray with more cheese. Now for the hot honey tenders. Add some buttermilk or even just regular milk, some hot sauce and lots of spices. This is the wet batter and now for the dry batter, add in some flour and the same spices. Double dip your chicken tenders and fry them off. For the hot honey sauce, it's just honey and hot sauce.
This is Mexican alambre, and all we need is 1 pan. I've been dying to make this dish. To start, in our cold pan, we need some bacon. I'm using beef, and from the bottom of my heart, I don't want to do this today. Then you're gonna turn on the heat and allow the fat to render. As the pan starts to heat up, just move that all to the side, and then we toss in some onion, jalapeno, and some red bell pepper. And I like to cook the veggies through because I don't like when they're crunchy. A few minutes later, clear out the center again, and then it's time for our cube steak. Listen, I've seen many variations of this dish. Some people actually use hot dogs, chorizo, but this one is my version. Now to season, I got paprika, chili powder, oregano, coriander, and cumin. And then I'm just gonna generously add that in. I always like to salt the meat directly so I don't overdo it. Minced heartburn goes in at the end so it doesn't burn. And then again, I've seen some people add tomatoes. And since I'm not using chorizo, I think this is gonna add great moisture. At this point, I'm gonna cover and allow it to cook for a few minutes. And now for the best part, you're gonna sprinkle on some Oaxaca or Chihuahua cheese. And then just cover so it gets nice and melty. My favorite part is to scoop this up with the tortilla. I'm gonna hit mine with a little green salsa. And as always, now bismillah. That is jam-packed with flavor.
This is the second most popular recipe on my blog, and for good reason. The chicken is so flavorful, so well marinated, and it's absolutely so delicious. If you're not used to marinating your chicken in a blend of different vegetables with some yogurt for tenderization and spices, then you need to get onto this train immediately. This chicken uses some yogurt, red pepper paste or tomato paste, some jalapeno, garlic, onion, tomato, and parsley to make this delicious looking marinade, along with a mixture of different spices. You'll mix everything together really well before you add it on top of the chicken, and make sure you get it underneath the skin too to make sure the chicken gets super flavorful. Ideally, you want to marinate for a few hours, preferably overnight, before baking your chicken. Do not skimp out on adding extra marinade to your chicken. Once you bake it, you're gonna have the most delicious chicken. Comment below to get the recipe sent to you, and enjoy!
Selam. Bugün yiyebileceğiniz en lezzetli haliyle çıtır patates salatası yapıyoruz. Öncelikle patatesleri çok ince dilimlememiz gerekiyor ve buzlu suda 15-20 dakika bekletelim. Bekleyen patatesleri kağıt havluyla suyunu iyice kuruladıktan sonra pişirme kağıdı serdiğimiz fırın tepsimize dizelim ve üzerine tuz ile zeytinyağı dökerek patatesler çıtır olana kadar pişirelim. O sırada sosu hazırlayabiliriz. Sos detaylarını açıklamaya yazacağım. En son maydanoz, taze soğan, limon ve sosu buluşturup güzelce karıştırdıktan sonra salatamız hazır. Tadı inanılmaz güzel oluyor. Denerseniz şimdiden afiyet olsun.
Let me show you how to make some incredible spicy beef arrayes. Out of this world. To start on our mix, we need onions and parsley. And to this, we're gonna add a few cloves of heartburn. And if you're new here, heartburn means garlic. I'm gonna throw in half a jalapeno with its seeds. And then I'm just gonna give this a nice fine blitz. And I always like to make sure I scrape down the sides. And then just make this paste nice and fine. This next step is optional, but I like to squeeze out some of that moisture so the bread doesn't get soggy. It's time to add in your ground beef. I'm using 90-10. And for maximum flavor, use a higher fat meat. If you want this to be macro friendly, just use the lean stuff. We're gonna season with a nice pinch of Aleppo pepper. And then we're gonna do paprika, cayenne pepper, salt, pepper, and garlic. I like to just throw on a glove and give this a nice massage. Next, you want a half a pita and turn it into a pocket. And then we're gonna gently start stuffing it with our meat. I'll be the first to admit I used to overstuff these. This is the new thickness that I recommend. These will cook all the way through within a few minutes. Now I'm gonna brush mine with a little chili infused oil. Toss the oil side down into your pan. And then we're just gonna brush some oil on the other side. And just make sure you constantly flip them, cooking all their sides. And as always, now bismillah. Out of this world. This is the only buffalo chicken dip recipe you'll ever need. Honestly, that is out of this world. To start, we need half white and half dark meat chicken. This will create optimal results. Please do not use pre-cooked chicken. The spices are also very important. In here, I have salt, pepper, garlic, cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, and smoked chipotle chili powder. It's time to generously oil up a hot pan. And then we're just gonna start searing off our beautiful chicken. The goal here is to get a nice crust and cook them through. You can easily air fry or bake the chicken. After the chicken is cooked and cooled, I like to finely chop it like this. I'm telling you, making the chicken yourself makes the biggest difference. Time to go in with your favorite buffalo sauce, ranch. Then I'm gonna add my favorite cheese, a 3-pepper Kobe Jack. Then some sharp cheddar and mozzarella. This operation gets chives chopped as fine as you. See, you're not always crusty. And last but not least, some cream cheese. You're looking for a creamy texture, but you don't want it to be swimming. I'm gonna transfer this off into my baking dish. Just gently even it out. I'm gonna top it with the same cheeses that we used earlier. And then we're gonna bake at 375 for about 20 to 30 minutes. Just look how gorgeous she is. I'm gonna finish with some parsley to help negate all those calories. You wanna scoop it up with your favorite chip. And as always, now bismillah. Let me show you how to make an incredible 3-pepper Gouda smash burger. I can legit eat this burger every single day. You want to grab about a quarter pound of meat and just form it into a ball. And I kind of like to hit them a couple times on my palm to form them and kind of round them out. Now for stainless steel, I'm going to throw it onto a medium high and just let it get hot. Then once the pan starts to shimmer, throw in lots of your oil, throw in the burger patty. Then you're going to do parchment and press. And then because it is so thin, I'm going to season just one side with salt, pepper, and garlic. Then once it peels off on its own, it's ready to flip. And then I'm going to do this 3-pepper Gouda that I got from the farmer's market. Just like this. If you want to do a double patty, I highly recommend cleaning your pan in between. For our sauce, I locally sourced this sweet pepper relish from the farmer's market. I'm just going to throw some into a bowl. I'm going to squeeze in plenty of mayo. I'm going to season with a little cayenne for the heat. And then all this needs is a little chipotle chili powder and a pinch of salt. This sauce hit the triple S sweet, spicy, and smoky. For the bun, I'm using a sesame brioche. Obviously, make sure you toast it. Toss on your sweet relish mayo, some beautiful dill pickles, our double smashed patty, optionally add some sauteed onions, and then last but not least, a little bit more sauce. And as always, now bismillah.